Hello, everyone. Good news. Actually, great news. I've got three of really good friends on tonight. A little bit of bad news. Kevin is still a little bit under the weather, so we're going to have him on assignment with some weird video thing we're going to try toward the end. So we'll see how that works out. But again, great news. Really good friends. Ryan Kroboth, Clay Adams, John Eddingfield. I love you guys. Thanks for coming on. And we're gonna talk some comics and have a lot of fun tonight. Does that sound pretty cool?
Sounds
Yeah.
grand.
And then we are going to tell Kevin how much fun we had so that he's jealous that he missed it. Okay?
He's
Solid
probably
plan.
still up watching it.
I
Oh
yeah.
I can't come on, but I'll watch.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, hey, this is Explain Yourself, everyone. We've got three awesome creators on tonight who really are people that I consider good friends and just great creators. Ryan Kroboth has not only is he, just an awesome artist because he also colors Crossover Division, which makes me very happy. But he's got Sunmaker, which is a project coming out that we're going to jump. We'll do the pitches on for a second. We've got John Eddingfield, who's doing Rancidville right now, who's also writer and artist. Freaking unicorns. And then we've got Clay Adams, who is he's just we're all jealous of you, Clay. So there you go. But you've
I'm
got
jealous
Blazing
of
Blade
all
of
of you.
Frankenstein.
So
Yeah.
we're all good.
So let's get started. Ryan, you're kind of up here on the top, so you get to go first. Hit me with somebody's walking by at a con, and you don't want to use the old cane trick where you grab them and jerk them in there to you. You want to actually kind of bring them in with your words.
Oh
What
no.
word? What words do you use, man?
So my con pitch is Sunmaker is a post-apocalyptic fantasy about a man who has to decide if preserving his legacy is worth becoming a monster.
Cool. All right, John, tell me about Rancidville.
Well, yeah, my con pitch changes every time I try to say it, but
Every single time.
it's like it's like three teens in a decrepit town must investigate a greedy town council to solve a murder mystery.
Cool. All right, and Clay, tell us about Blazing Blade of Frankenstein.
Sword and sorcery meets gothic horror as Frankenstein battles monsters for the fate of a savage land.
That's awesome.
Sweet. Yeah. I think he might have practiced that a little bit. He's
Yeah.
good
Set
at
it
No,
that.
it's not just it's Clay. It's right out of the box, like boom, there it is.
That's right out
Boom,
of the
there it
movie.
is.
Yeah.
I gotta show my age and unhip myself.
Ah, no, I have been on the Welcome to Old Age tour this past month, so it's I don't think we want to talk about what that entails on camera. We can talk about it later, though. So,
We won't go there. Fair.
um, let's go ahead and dive into Blazing Blade of Frankenstein. And
Sure.
do you want to go ahead and share your screen so that you can control the
Share
horizontal
my
and the
screen.
vertical?
I
Yeah.
gotta hide all my porn here. Hold on.
Well, you don't have
So
to. You don't have to.
so let me bring up the campaign, right, and then
Yeah.
share my screen.
Yes.
Don't even know how
Present
to
at
do
the
that.
bottom.
Present at the
Present, and then
bottom.
yeah. Hmm.
Look at that. See, I said I was an old man, and here we go. Okay, here we go. I'm sharing the screen. I'm gonna do that tab. We'll share. Can everybody see that?
Boom! There we go.
There
You are.
it is.
Beautiful.
Boom!
What do you want?
There
What
it
do you want to
is.
know about this thing? Whoop! There it is.
Let's
Uh,
uh, let's take a deep dive into it. Who are you working with as part of the creative team?
yeah.
And I mean, you've been live for I think what about a week and a half now? Is that right?
About a week and a half. Yeah, we've got just under 3 weeks left to go, if I can do my math correctly.
Nice.
And yes, so the play button is right over that face, but it looks so much better on thumbnail everywhere else on Kickstarter. That's from our variant cover by Steph C, which you will see a little further down the page. I'm just doing a slow scroll like it's the beginning of Star Wars.
You got it. That's perfect.
I don't know what you guys are seeing, but here we go. So Blazing Blade of Frankenstein is an episodic graphic novel that casts Mary Shelley's monster as a wandering barbarian fighting for the fate of a savage land. Each episode stands on its own as a complete story, but when read together, they tell one epic tale. So issue 2 is 28 pages of sword and sorcery, loosely inspired by Robert E. Howard's The Scarlet Citadel. And this is the cover by the art team of Kyle Roberts and Ilaria Kioka. And it is gorgeous.
It is. Absolutely.
And so it's a direct sequel to Frankenstein. It picks up immediately after the events of the novel. It's also like, if anybody has read the novel, he's very different than what you saw maybe in the Boris Karloff movies. He's intelligent, he's sensitive, he's almost kind of like the world's first superhero. He's got superhuman speed and strength. And but you don't have to have read the novel first. We give you a little recap. In fact, you can kind of see on these beautiful preview pages from the first issue. We sort of recap the story a little bit. And so basically Frankenstein, my idea was like, what if he, instead of committing suicide in the Arctic, which is how the novel ends, he's going off to the Arctic to commit suicide. What if instead he slipped through a portal to another world? And that was originally sort of loosely inspired by Mike Grell's Warlord, which I'm a big fan of. But it occurred to me, reading some old Alan Moore comics, he plays with some public domain stuff, and there was something in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen about the Blazing World, which is like one of the first fantasy novels. It kind of predates Mary Shelley's Frankenstein by quite a bit, but it's this story about a woman who goes through a portal in the Arctic and winds up in another world called the Blazing World. You can see here on my screen, it's got these bright stars, red skies, and there are these half human, half animal hybrids that live in this world. And in that novel, she sort of like organizes them and teaches them the ways of peace. And she becomes this empress, this benevolent empress. And I just kind of thought, well, what if somebody else from public domain fiction stumbled through this portal and maybe took it over? And I can't tell you who that is because that's a spoiler, but you can probably guess if you read some things closely enough. So this character has taken over the Blazing World, and now the Empress is on the run. So she finds Frankenstein in the Arctic right before he's gonna do the deed, and he chases her back into the Blazing World. And now we're off to the races, and he's fighting monsters and trying to protect the Empress and get rid of this Dark Prince, who's a real bad guy. So there's a nice look at the cover by Steph C.
Absolutely.
Painted cover. And this was sort
Very
of
nice.
Inspired, I think, by Gustav Klimt. Klimt. I don't know how you say the name, but very cool painter. He's got
He used a lot of gold flake and stuff.
Yes.
There's some really.
Yeah. So when she said she wanted to go in that direction, I was all in. Just a very cool image. I'm very excited about that. And then I reunited with Tina Valentino, who did a cover for me for Deadskins, and her Galarian colorist Fabio Mantovani did this cover featuring the Empress, and her work is always fantastic.
Oh yeah.
And it's we're selling variants. We've got a metal version of the Steph C cover. We've got all kinds of bundles, all 3 covers in the metal. We got a little mystery box. I'll send you some stuff from the Fried Comics archives and catch-up tiers. If you missed the first campaign, you can see those standard covers there, or you can get all the variants.
I'm sorry, man, but I expect a little bit better from a Fried Comics project. Those
Yeah.
are catch-up tears. Shouldn't they be catch-up tears?
I know. You know, I'm trying to be yeah, I mean, you know, this doesn't really sort of fit the quote unquote fried brand. So
Gotcha.
I'm trying this is like our top shelf label. I'm trying to be a little less punny on this page,
Gotcha.
but maybe I don't know. Maybe I'll go all in next time. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, so it's I'm the writer, and Kyle Roberts provided the art, and Ilaria Kioka is back from PBOW to color, and edited by our mutual pal James Powell,
Awesome.
who I just spoke with earlier today. So
And you also provide the lettering, which is also awesome.
I do. Thank you. Yeah, you know what? I always feel bad, and I always feel bad for letterers because, like, I never promote that I do my own lettering. And I probably should, because I feel like there are probably people looking at this stuff going, why does this guy never mention the letterer? This guy must hate letterers. It's not true. It's just that it's just me, and I forget to credit myfe and make a big
Wait, I
deal.
thought it's Frida this whole time. I've been lied to.
Yeah.
Ryan, I hate to burst your bubble, but
The magic's gone.
the magic's gone, man. I'm sorry. Santa Claus is not real either. I hate to tell you.
Oh,
Have a good night, guys.
Yeah. Should I stop sharing that screen? How do I do this?
Yeah, you can just stop sharing, and that's fine. Quick question for you, because
Yeah.
you and I are similar in that we both, look to public domain
Mhm.
to, provide a lot of, I guess, I don't want to say content, because I don't like that word,
Sure,
but
sure.
I guess inspiration for what we do. You're using Frankenstein. I use whatever, with Crossover Division.
Right.
And I'm curious. Oh, Frida can't let her from jail. Sorry, we got that Kevin Joseph guy is up,
There's
obviously.
that's funny.
That is a true story, Kevin. She's still rotting in jail, and there's nothing I can do
Yeah.
about that. I
Yeah.
can't raise bail for her, so I'll do a GoFundMe for that.
Yeah, or it could be a stretch goal, maybe. But
That's a good idea.
I mean, what I know what I kind of love about, going through the public domain and getting to play with some of these, characters and concepts that are, really even at this point soaked kind of in our culture. A lot of people,
Sure.
like you mentioned, have not actually read Frankenstein. I have,
Right.
but I'm a geek, so it doesn't count. But they know the story, right? I
Yeah.
mean, there's these concepts and these characters that people just know without actually having, experienced the book or the
original.
poetry or the originals. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I
kinda-
mean,
I think it's-
what's
go
interesting
ahead.
to me about a lot of this stuff, like Frankenstein and Dracula, and basically like all the Universal monsters, is that they come from strong source material, but we really do know them from the movies, and they've been changed quite a bit from their original incarnation. So I sort of like the idea. Like, I love the original Frankenstein novel. That's maybe my favorite novel. I had to read it in high school and just absolutely loved it. And I couldn't believe how easy it was to read and how relevant it felt. It felt like it was just written yesterday. So I was just really taken with it. But the movies have really like put them in our consciousness. Everybody knows these stories. But like for me, what I like about working in the public domain is that there's so much that already exists. It's a playground to play in. And for so many years, that's how stories were told. Like, Shakespeare didn't come up with Romeo and Juliet. That was a story that everybody knew, His history plays don't bear a whole lot of resemblance to history, but he wrote these stories around people and characters that everybody knew. And Hamlet was not an original. None of these were things that he thought up. they're his interpretations of them. And we have multiple interpretations of the King Arthur story and multiple interpretations of, you know, you name it through the years. We've had so many different interpretations of various tales that have gone down through time. So like sort of this idea that like, one person created something and therefore they're the only person that gets to tell stories about that. That's a really new thing. And I think it's a good thing because we're boring John. I'm going to make this quick and we're going to wrap it up.
That's not it. That's not it. I am an early guy and this is late for me.
Trust me, it's late for me. Late for me too.
I'm trying not to be that guy. Sorry. I'm old. I'm just old.
It's all good. But like, I think copyright is a really good thing because it allows writers and creatives to make a living these days, which is not something they've always been able to do. So I think it's a fantastic thing. But it has limited who's been able to tell these stories and different interpretations of these stories. And you can kind of see in like DC and Marvel, they kind of do the same. They've started to do sort of the same thing, like where you'll see like Jeff Johns will tell a Superman tale, and it's like, wait a minute, that he didn't come up with that. He's just reinterpreting all these bits and pieces that somebody else came up with over the years, and he's a brilliant interpreter of it. So it's interesting to sort of see them go into that direction. Superman's going to be in the public domain soon. So like what is going to happen then? That'll be interesting. Anyway, long tangent that has bored John and I will stop. But I was
bored to begin with, Clay. It had nothing to do with you.
It was me.
Before I even opened my mouth, John was bored. Just looking at my face bored him.
Hey, listen, everything bores me. You get to a certain age, and then it's just all.
You've seen it all, John. That's what it is. You've seen it all.
He was hoping we were going to talk about that old man stuff.
Yeah. He's seen things.
In my day.
That's right.
Get off my lawn. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, if you know, in a perfect world, or hopefully even our world, how long do you see this series running?
So it's funny when I came up with the concept, the idea was to keep it nice and short, nice and tight to pitch to a publisher, like a 4-issue miniseries. And then I started writing a story Bible under the direction of Carl Potts, who used to work for Marvel. He was artist, writer, discovered Jim Lee. And anyway, it just kept growing. I kept coming up with episodes and episodes and episodes, and I didn't I didn't want to necessarily like limit myself, but I also didn't want to I didn't want this to be my Sandman, my epic, you know, because I know the rabbit hole that is, you know what I mean? Like I like the idea of nowadays you do something nice and tight. But anyway, the story Bible mapped out at 7 issues. And cool. I don't know any 7-issue miniseries. I don't know any publisher that would even look at a 7-issue miniseries at this point. But I said, you know what? This is the story I want to tell. So unless I want to revisit it and truncate it, we'll see. So it may wind up being like 8. I think the first arc is going to be this first 4 issues, and then I'm going to treat maybe the next 4 as another arc, and that tells another tale. But if people like it and it keeps selling and they want more, I'm sure there are plenty of more stories to be told in the Blazing World.
Nice. Very nice. Well, all right. Excellent. Well, we will now, let's make sure that John's not bored. So let's talk to John.
Oh my gosh.
So John, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and pull up your campaign and let's share that, and let's talk, let's go into kind of a deep dive of Rancidville.
Let's see this. Present, yeah. Share screen.
Mm-hmm.
Rancidville. Share.
And abracadabra.
All
Boom.
right.
There we go.
All right. There's Rancidville. So, wait, no. So,
Wake up, John. Wake up.
How about it? How about it? So this is a cool idea. So this is my image for the campaign, but it's actually this giant image here. I made this first, and Ryan suggested a piece of it be the actual Kickstarter image, which was pretty cool. But anyway, it's after a tragedy affects his family, Nathaniel Wickett moves to a decrepit town called Rancidville, where he quickly makes friends with two other teens, Alice and Shane, and the trio uncover a mystery involving the town council, his uncle, and his parents. So this is the third part of a 3-act story. It's the conclusion of Rancidville, the story that I started in 2014 when I met Ryan, and yeah. So it really deals with some ideas that you can't judge a book by its cover, the values of friendship and family. I didn't realize when I was writing this story and drawing it that a lot of it came from the brokenness of my childhood. So it's kind of a not an autobiographical tale, but a lot of this stuff, like the character, the uncle in it, is I drew from a lot of family stuff. Yeah, so Ryan and I have a special bonus if you back both of our campaigns, and that's to get this new project we're working on called Worse Than Mayhem. I won't go too much into that right now, but if you back both of our campaigns, you'll get a physical copy, a 14-page preview. It will only be available through Kickstarter. And then the colors are done by my colorist. His name's Martin Plisco. He's amazing. And the letters for book 3 are done by Dave Lentz. So, because, I value the letterer, Clay.
Unlike some people we could mention.
Yeah, exactly. So the first two stories the first two books set up the main story, and then you find out where it all leads, obviously, in the third act. And the characters are great. It's kind of like Scooby-Doo meets the Goonies. The three characters definitely have their own personalities. Nathaniel, who's the main character, is kind of level-headed. Shane, pretty much his best friend, is kind of dopey, and then Alice, the Alice character, which is, you can see her right here. She's kind of modeled after my daughter. She's very abrasive. And my daughter knows that. She knows that's who she is.
Just wait for the comment to pop up from her as she's listening.
Yeah, exactly. So she's probably watching this right now. We have some amazing variant covers. Ryan did this really gorgeous cover. It's unbelievable, and there's a ton of little Easter eggs in there. And then Martin did his version of the cover, which is here, and they're just great. Martin really captures the essence of the characters. Yeah, and
round cover. I actually wanted to ask you that because I saw the rest of the art for it.
Pardon?
Is that one a wraparound cover?
That is the wraparound cover. Yeah, and I should have put that on here. I only put the front of the cover there. Yeah, it is a wraparound cover. And there's some rewards. That's about it. That's my campaign is very, very simple. And it's the end of the story, so I don't have anything else planned for Rancidville.
But you do have other projects planned. I mean, Worse Than Mayhem. I know that there's a sequel coming out to the Not So Fair Tales hardcover anthology, which was awesome.
Yeah, we're working on that. Yep. That's in the works. It's I'm still waiting on some stuff from some of the other collaborators in that, so I'm not sure when that'll happen. Worse Than Mayhem is really that's going to be the next big thing for Ryan and I. We're working on that together. Yeah.
Cool. And I noticed you had a print catch up, and Clay, we forgot to mention it for Blazing Blade of Frankenstein. I'm sure you've got a print catch up as well, and
For
a
sure.
digital catch up. Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep. Yeah. So if you're new to the campaign, there's both a digital catch up and a print catch up here. So.
Nice. How many pages is this final issue?
44.
44. And I believe all the other ones were at least 42, 44, somewhere
52.
in there.
They were 52. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Don't forget to mention that I'm in the last book.
Oh, yes, Ryan's character makes a cameo in book 3.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah. Pretty funny. Is that a wedding?
I thought I was the main villain. Damn.
No. Well, we don't know. I mean, you're just in the crowd, We'll see.
Ryan could never be a villain. I mean, let's face it, right?
But his goatee could.
Yeah. So true.
So, any plans to collect this into like a trade or a hardcover or anything like that?
Yeah, I do. I would like to collect it into a hardbound edition. The story was originally always supposed to be one book. And I won't screen share again, but this issue actually starts on chapter 5. So there's actually 6 chapters of the story. And when I joined List Launch and Comics Launch years ago, it was we kind of shopped it, and everybody kind of agreed that I should just launch the book in pieces, to get something out there, and so that's why it's the way it is. Yeah, but yeah, so I have plans in the future to collect it into one volume, and I have some little short stories that actually go with it, that I've released over in other campaigns, like a short story. They're just little funny things about the characters, so it'll go in a collected volume. Yeah.
Very cool. Is there any particular reward or anything that you want to point out, or is there one that you're like, this is awesome, everybody needs to do this? Or I mean, we've talked about the print catch up. Is there just something that you think is really cool?
The reward that I like the most is my coin. So this campaign has a Series 3 coin. Each campaign has a coin, and the first campaign had a $1 coin, and then campaign 2 had a $2 coin, and this one actually is a $3 coin. And the main guy, his name's Aloysius Blackthorn. He's the guardian of the city of Ransomville. His face is plastered on all the currency, so his face is on the front of the coin.
Nice.
Look at my back. You could see them in my case over there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And the motto of Ransomville is Festina Lente, which means hurry up slowly. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else you want to mention about the campaign?
No, it's it goes till March 3rd, and I think that it's of course, I'm a little bit biased, but I think it's an awesome story, and I think people will dig it.
Very cool.
Can confirm.
Well, awesome. Can confirm. I have them somewhere around here.
Holding up the table leg. I get it.
Yeah. No, it's in a stack. I've got lots of stacks. My wife says many bad things about my stacks. So there you go.
Hey, now this is a family program.
Yeah, I know.
We all have that problem, I think.
Well, and I know you are doing a special reward for people that back both your campaign and Ryan's campaign, which is an excellent segue, I think, into Sunmaker. So, Ryan,
All
let's
right.
talk some Sunmaker.
So I hit present, right?
Yep.
There's a bunch of buttons. Present, screen share.
Even the young buck doesn't know how to do this.
I
How
know,
about-
right?
Yeah, it's technology.
Let me holler at my son. Come here. All right. There you go, Ryan. You are
There it is.
presenting.
Ta-da! Yeah, so this is Sunmaker. It's the frozen apocalyptic fantasy. This is written by Liam Hayes. I'm the artist on the book, and this one I am also doing the colors. I got a lot of flack from people because I hired out the colors for the second book, and they pretty much said, no, you need to color it. Letters by Dave Lentz. He also does a lot of my graphic design stuff. He's awesome. And then I'd like to point out that this Kickstarter page was a lot of the graphics were done by Brant Fowler.
Brent.
He saves my life. So
Mine too.
yeah, he's great, man. So like I
And hey, Geek Collective says Dave Lentz is the letterer supreme. So yeah, I'm up with
every
that.
book ever. So pretty much, if you don't hear Clay saying that he lettered it, it was probably Dave Lentz. So we got The Worst in Mayhem, just like on John's page. That's a book that we're working on together. And then there's us chilling at the con.
That's an awesome picture. I want to table with you guys one of these days.
Yeah, it's great. We have a blast. We don't sell
Even if
much.
we don't sell any books, we have a great time.
Yeah, that's it.
You're
So
supposed to sell
story-
books there?
Sometimes. Every once in a while we suck. Usually they swing by and say, will you donate a free book to us? And it's like, sure. So the story of Sunmaker is the Sunmakers are locked away in a vault, and they're the flyer that is the representative of their people is starting to go out. So Tiban has to leave the vault and go out into the wastelands, and he meets up with these things. They're called Sunbloods. So they kind of remind me of those ice guys from Game of Thrones. I did not watch Game of Thrones before I made this, so. And he's got this sweet flamethrower glove, and he kind of really gets along with everybody with it. So he actually loses the first fight against them, and then he meets up with another Sunmaker named Marin, and they end up working together, and they try to find the next piece of the second sun that they need to fuel the fire for his ancestors. And then they fight a giant ice monster that's like the mid-boss battle of the comic, so just like a video game. These are some preview pages from issue 3, so this is a lot of fun. This issue is very action-packed, especially compared to the rest of the series. So they got some good stuff going on here. Hopefully it's not too spoilerific. There's my campaign image. I drew this one out, and I loved it so much that I was like, that has got to be the project image. So I swapped out the backgrounds, and I did some stuff with that.
Nice.
But it's a lot of fun. I absolutely love the story. Liam's writing is just fantastic. The way the characters speak in the book is just it just draws you in. It's so different from anything else I've ever seen. So there's the team. And then we got a couple more preview pages. Liam was pretty proud of this part. He's like, there's the bad guy soliloquy.
Got him monologuing, huh?
Yeah. You got a monologue before the big fight. So I thought that was a good segue into the issue. And right there is like, he's like, over my cold dead body. And then and everything gets real.
So this is the final issue of the series?
Yep. So this completes the story. Liam is going to be making a little bit of a prequel to get into the story, so I'm waiting for that. And then when we do a collected version, I think it's going to be about a 14-page prequel, and then there's going to be the 3 issues of the story. And then I'm going to have a whole lot of people do some backup stories, and it's going to just be like some fun stuff to round out the universe. So this is John's cover for the book. So when John did the book, he drew me one cover, and then he goes, I don't like that. He drew another cover, and then he goes, I don't like that one either. So he drew another cover. So I got 3 covers from John. Now this is the last one that he sent in. So that's the main cover. But I said what we're going to be doing is, I've never seen it before, but we're doing a double cover. So you get his cover on the front, you get his cover on the back, and I'm also going to have his partial cover on the inside back cover. So you're getting all 3 of John's covers when you back this book. It's going to be nice.
Excellent.
This is the other variant for the book. This is done by Chris Holmes. He also is the one that did he did a pixel art pinup for issue 2, and he did the GIF that's up at the top. So I told him the inspiration for Tiban's glove I used was from Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. I just pretty much took the power glove from the game, and I just added some wires and stuff to it, and because I loved that game as a kid, so I thought having a throwback cover to be like Legend of Zelda. And I gave him like a sketch of like what my idea was, and he took that and he just like, it's crazy. Like, it's awesome. These are, Brant does magic when he does reward tier mobs.
And he's so fast with them too. He can just put, and I'm like, I don't have to do it. This is the best thing ever. Right.
I don't really mind doing most of the stuff on the Kickstarter page, but I do not enjoy putting together the reward tier mock-ups. And I think they're like one of the most important things on the page too. Like, because when I come up to a page, a lot of times I like to go through and see everything that's going on. So he did that. The original art painting that's going to be offered on the campaign that's already gone.
Yeah, it's mine.
Nice.
And then everybody loves my ninjas. So anytime I send out packages, you get a little ninjas that come with them.
I've got one on the table here somewhere.
It's really funny. I was talking with some people online, and this guy's like, oh yeah, this one time this guy was on Comics Launch and he was talking about these ninjas that he puts in his package. So I started using these ninjas, or well, not ninjas, but he like started putting something else in his package because he heard about the ninjas on the Comics Launch podcast. I was like, hey, how about that? That's me.
Sweet.
Yeah, so that's the Kickstarter page. I'm gonna stop the screen share.
So I think that I probably owe John a little bit of an apology at this point, because John was wanting to launch Rancidville 3 maybe a little while ago, but somebody drug Ryan into doing colors for his book so that he wasn't quite ready to launch when John wanted to launch. I don't know who that was.
And then John launched an anthology, and I colored a second story in it in addition to doing mine.
Yeah. So Rancidville has been done since December 2021. So apology accepted. It's not you. Yeah. No. Ryan is just,
the worst.
The worst.
and mayhem. He's also
mayhem. Yeah, worst in mayhem.
That's right.
If he's worse, that means you're mayhem, right, John?
Well, it has to be the other way around. I'm the filthiest mouthed one, so that's worse. So And Ryan's really nice, so he's
I really think that John channeled a lot of Frida into his worst character.
I cannot wait to read this book. I'm very excited.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Didn't you have the preview in your newsletter, or at least 3 or 4 pages maybe in the newsletter?
Yeah, I did. I had some pages in the newsletter. Yeah, they're just the rough pencils. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's something. It's different than anything that I've ever worked on. So it's Rancedville in and of itself is really pretty close to all ages. I mean, I've been working. My grandson, when he was 5, read it. Read the first book and he read the second book. And but I can't show him Worse Than Mayhem because it's violent and it's got a lot of foul language in it. So
sounds right up my alley.
Oh yeah, it is irreverent is what the word, I guess, is the right word.
He'll show me some pages and I'll be like, nobody's died for 2 pages. What's going on?
Yeah. And when people die, they die in this book. There's no question what's going on. Yeah, it's fun. So
yeah, you guys are gonna see how messed up we really are.
Oh yeah.
Gloriously, I hope.
Oh yeah.
It's like literally written by random train of thought.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Stream of consciousness in comic form.
That worked for James Joyce, right? I mean, come on. Faulkner did it too.
It's funny because we text each other like in the middle of the night, like ideas just come, and it's like I can't wait. I got to text Ryan, and then he's texting right back. Or at like 5 a.m. he's like, "What time are you going to be on? Because I got to tell you something. I can't do it over the text." And it's like, well, let's go on now. It's great. Yeah.
Nice. So, we've got, obviously we're going to get through these projects and they're well on their way to being funded. So that's awesome. I mean, it looked like really great launches for both projects.
Yep.
But, so what's the kind of the plan for Worse Than Mayhem? Is that like 3, 4, 5, 6 months out?
Yeah, right after fulfillment of Rancedville and Sunmaker. So we plan to have them fulfilled by July. And then I will probably be launching the anthology sometime, I'm hoping, this year. And we may put Ryan might launch Worse Than Mayhem, on his side. We haven't really figured out the logistics of that, but maybe around August, we will be able to launch Worse Than Mayhem. The first book is written. The first issue is written. The second issue, so the first issue is written, and James Powell is our editor, and he's already edited it. And the first 39 of 52 pages have already been penciled. I've already got that done. The second issue is already written. The first draft is done. The third issue is in the process of being written. Ryan is almost done with that. I have the outline for issue 4 done already. We have the idea for issue 5 and issue 6. So right now that's the plan, is 6 to 7 issues. And the key to all of it is to keep it from being stale. We don't want the issues to become so episodic that people can predict what's going to happen. And they're not going to be able to. I mean, this is like 2 guys who don't know what the hell they're doing, and they're just, we could write a comic, so.
Nice. Well,
somebody to say freaking artists think they can be writers.
How about it?
Well, Clay, Blazing Blade of Frankenstein is not your only project either. You've got, I know, PBOW. You finished off Deadskins, I believe,
Yes.
not too long ago, and then What else have you got coming from Fried? I'm blanking on it right
Too
now.
many things.
Too many-
Too many things. So I just finished Dream Quest, which is a 48-page
Oh, yeah.
Lovecraftian horror one shot. That's at the printer.
Uh-oh.
That was a
Uh-oh.
perfect freeze place, wasn't it?
Oh, gosh.
Right.
Did everyone vanish? Am I back? Did I vanish?
You're
You're
back.
back.
You're
I'm
back.
back.
You vanished.
Oh, thank God. I don't know where we got, but Dream Quest is at the printer. Should have it soon. I'm working on a Western called Prodigal Son, which is a vehicle for Martin Kove, who plays Sensei Kreese on Cobra Kai. I'm co-writing that with Don Hanfield. And that is actually going to be coming to Kickstarter sometime
Cool.
soon. So,
Hi, Shawnee.
hey, Shawnee, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by.
And Jeff
I
Weber.
booked my
Hi,
place
Jeff.
in San Diego. Oh, hey,
Hey,
Jeff.
Jeff.
How's it going?
Hey, Jeff.
What's up,
The
man?
gang's all here.
Yeah.
No, and we have an excellent comment from our on assignment Kevin Joseph. Oh yeah. So yeah, it sounds like you've got a lot coming to Kickstarter. That's something that I know. I'm probably not telling anything out of tails here, but one of the during the pandemic, I know I was going a little nuts probably, and I know Kevin was going a little nuts, and we kind of, with all you guys, came together and we had we called it Comics Happy Hour, and we would chat and just talk and get together over Facebook or Zoom or whatever the heck it was. And I think that really helped keep me sane, or pushed me in a direction where my not being sane was better than being sane. I'm not sure which, but anyway, it works out great. So I don't know if I've ever thanked you guys for that, so thanks. But we still, to this day, we still chat all the time, about projects, about Kickstarter, and about, the direct market. And I know we've been talking about the direct market a lot lately. And I know for me, Crossover Division was going to be, an 8-page story that was pitched to publishers. And then this COVID thing happened, right? And publishers shut down. Distributors shut down.
The world shut down.
The world shut down, but Kickstarter didn't, right?
Right.
And it was really the only place where you could get new comics, right? And that really imprinted itself on me. And I was, after that initial launch, I was like, why not just Kickstarter? Serializing a comic on Kickstarter, it's not easy, but you have Miskatonic High is up to issue 16, I think. Kevin Joseph, that guy, is up to like 14 of Tart. It's a viable way for us to do serialized comics without having to try to put all that effort into the direct market, and get our books out there as indie comics creators. I think it's just awesome. And the fact that Clay, you've chosen to go to Kickstarter with lots of projects, and Ryan, you've gone with you've done a sketchbook, you've done Sunmaker, and John, you've done Rancidville and some anthologies. And it's just, Kickstarter in my mind just enables us to tell the stories that we want to tell without having to go through any kind of gatekeeper, really. And I think that's awesome. And I know that we've been chatting about it. Do you see yourself not using Kickstarter in the future? I don't. Kickstarter, I think that, a well-populated crowdfunding area for indie creators is good for us all. That means Zoop and BackerKit and Indiegogo and all of these other, and Shawnee says she's a Kickstarter addict. Awesome. We got you covered. So, I mean, I really feel like Kickstarter, if it weren't for Kickstarter, I wouldn't be doing comics right now. I mean, how do you guys feel the same? I mean, what's your take on kind of, they like to talk about this dichotomy. Well, you're in the direct market or you're Kickstarter. Well, we're just making comics in my mind, and Kickstarter's letting us make comics.
Yeah, and I
So
think a lot of people are moving from the direct market to Kickstarter right now because it's so hard to get a book out there. Like, there are so many people publishing comics and so many books out there. It's hard for the local comic shops to keep up with them all, to sell them to their customer base. There's a book on Kickstarter now that was an image book that is either no longer an image book, or for whatever reason they needed to come to Kickstarter to do the second volume. And so I think you're going to see a lot of that, a lot of people moving from traditional publishers to Kickstarter. And exactly, Jeff. Like, whenever people ask me, well, should I go to the direct market or should I go to Kickstarter? I say, if you want prestige, go to the direct market. If you want money, go to Kickstarter. And prestige is nice, but it doesn't pay any bills.
Exactly. And the Geek, Joey from the Geek Collective says, but we don't have a lot of crossover from local comic shops to Kickstarters. And then he brings up a really great question, I think, which is, how do we bridge that gap? I would love for my book to be in the direct market, but I feel like as an indie creator, the amount of effort that I have to put forth just to get listed in previews in the direct market, and then the outreach that I have to do to all of those stores is rarely worth the time and the effort for me as an unknown comic creator, unknown commie, you guys.
Freudian slip, we all heard it.
Yeah, exactly. So, there are some, don't get me wrong, there are some great shops out there that are really indie friendly, right? But, if I'm going to the direct market and I'm selling 100 copies or 200 copies in the direct market, that's not worth the effort. I mean, I'm losing time, I'm losing money, I'm losing, energy, because I'd have to deal with all that. Kickstarter, like Jeff says, we don't have to sell as much to get the books made on Kickstarter as, what a profitable book looks like in the direct market. So, I mean, Kickstarter has really, really changed the game for us indie comics creators, and it's changed it for the better because we have that infinite shelf space where, granted, I'm not approaching, White Ash numbers on my campaigns. I'm not approaching, Pat Shan's Thirsty or Cheeky numbers, but I have enough numbers to make the book and maybe make enough to get me started to make the next book, which is really what I'm after, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd love to have a 6-figure Kickstarter, but it's just, I'm not expecting that right now, okay?
Just blame your colorist.
Yeah, that's right. I'll just play my colorist. But I mean, I kind of feel like we're in the midst of this indie comics renaissance because of Kickstarter. I mean, there are so many books that we're getting that are I mean, White Ash, Glarian, we've got, Pat Shan's Destiny New York and all the other books that he's doing. And it's, we've got Kevin, with doing Tart with Ludo. We've got Kat and Phil, my Excel buddy, man, yes, are doing some really important books for, themselves, but also important books for, what we would consider, marginalized creators before, with buy visibility and just, some really, I feel like they're really important books. So, it's, I mean, am I the only one that feels it? I mean, this is a golden age in my mind. It's
like 10 years ago, you used to go to a convention. I used to take like, paychecks worth and walk around, and I would come home with like a stack of books. And now, like when John and I are doing shows, there's so many times we're the only guys there that are selling actual comics. Everybody's either there selling toys or prints or
T-shirts or
and like I'm all for like the diversity. I like walking around. I like seeing the stuff. I like seeing people, being creative and expressive. It just kind of like, I don't know, like it was always supposed to be about the books. So like you were saying with Kickstarter, it's like literally one of the only places where I can even find indie books. Like I love the indie stuff just because there's always so much heart in it. And the stuff, the concepts, the expression in it is just so interesting. There is, like you said, so much diversity in it.
Yeah.
Marvel and all that stuff is okay to me, but like I don't know, like it's not really my jam. I read my Ninja Turtles, and that's like it. And everything else is pretty much like I love the indie books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
I mean, and you get books like Travis Gibb doing his Granite State Punk, which is one of the best things he's written, according to him. And he got to do this because it was on Kickstarter. Yeah, I did out myself, Shawnee. I am a commie. I am a commie. And she agrees with you, Ryan. Absolutely.
All right, I like him.
That Ryan guy, he's pretty smart. I like the cut of his.
He's onto something.
That's right. Well, yeah. I mean, as indie creators, we have a reach different than the publishers. We create a fan base of our own. We cultivate that, and a lot of publishers are failing. They're just, you see these. They're either not making money or they're mismanaged and not making money. They're not paying their creative teams. You sign with a publisher, you're giving up a part of your IP to that publisher. And in Kickstarter, you're controlling the whole thing. You are the master of your destiny. Sink or swim. You make it happen. And I think that is, you're right, Will. It's a golden age right now. We are changing the landscape of publishing. It's going to be entirely different than it is, even from today, in a few years. It's an artesian type thing, right? We've created almost like an art book. We put love and time into these books that they're not just cranked out on a bi-monthly basis. They're not following a formula of, Superman punches guy gets kryptonite, Superman gets sick, Superman saves the day. It's not doing that anymore. And publishers, my story wouldn't be touched by a publisher. Worse than Mayhem definitely would be touched by a publisher. But there are people who want that. It's obvious because I'm able to create my books, right? So,
and they'll pay for it,
and they pay for it. Yeah.
The thing about publishers failing and like not paying their creators, right? I think we're all thinking of maybe one publisher in particular. That I may or may not have dodged a bullet with, but they what they have is a cash flow problem. Which means that the economics of the shop are not good. I was actually talking to Alan at Rock Bottom, which is the local shop that Will and I go to, who's very indie friendly. I talking to him about the publisher's troubles, and we were both like, they put out a superior product. It's a phenomenal product. The look and the feel of the books, the paper is really nice. Yeah. They're really professionally put together. Just a cut above a lot of other indie publishers. but they just can't sell them.
Mhm.
And it's a cash flow problem. Kickstarter does not have a cash flow problem.
Right.
We have a reach problem
Yeah.
because the user base is only so big.
Mhm.
Right.
But that's not such a big deal because the cash flow is there. And so, yeah, like I just look at it and I just, the economics of publishing through the direct market are so bad, I think, for everybody. I mean, I even look, look, I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to DC and Marvel, but I sometimes look at what those books sell, and knowing what they're paying the creative teams and what it costs to print, even if you print a huge print run, you know, and get a great deal on the unit price, the economics are really tough. It just makes me
Yeah.
wonder how long they can keep doing some of this stuff, or is it just, no, it's a loss leader to keep the IP alive, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a similar situation that we had with newspaper comics versus the web. You know, the writing was on the wall that comic artists were evolving and changing and using technology to get to their fans, and newspapers refused to believe that was a thing. And you know, syndicated comics, you know, all of us here, you know, especially myself, are old enough to remember, you know, Calvin and Hobbes and you know, and being when it was running, right? Not just that it was in the newspaper, but actually reading it in the newspaper, except for maybe Ryan because he's just a kid. But anyway, you know, but it's the same thing. Publishers can use Kickstarter. There is an avenue for them and their creative teams who have big names. These guys aren't just guys like us. They have huge fans. You know, they could be, but they just seem to refuse to believe that is an option. And that's what's going to be there, I think. You know, mark this date, February 3rd, 2023, that John Eddingfield said that will be their downfall because, you know, and it's sad because comic shops need to survive. You know, comic shop, you know, it's a place for young kids to go and be exposed to a variety of different works. You know, you can see, I mean, you know, the first comic I read was Cerebus, you know, but then, you know, you know, and that, you know, I was 9 then, you know, so, you know, and of course I follow, you know, I'm a huge fan of Usagi Yojimbo. I love Stan Sagai. I've been collecting that for 40 years, you know, and that was exposure in a comic shop. Now, it was a crappy little dingy used bookstore type comic shop, but still it was a comic shop, you know, and so I think with Kickstarter, we not only do we need to keep cultivating our fan base and doing our projects on Kickstarter, but we need to find a way to get into shops and you know, and get some type of distribution, even if it's regional, right? Even if you're doing something just regional, you know, you don't need to have your comic in every shop in the United States, but if you could have your comic within a 100-mile radius of where you live and as many shops as are available, that's huge.
Yeah. Well, Joey from the Geek Collective, back when we were, he says he thinks we cut off our legs by not reaching out to those pop culture con goers, and you know, I think that there's something to that. And then he says he'd almost rather a new con filled with con goers who are categorically in a different demographic to open up, you know, to his content. And then Jeff Weber says his last conventions were so depressing it nearly made him want to give up. For him, it's Kickstarter or nothing. I bring up the meme. Why not both, right? Why not both? And then Shawnee, as a backer, she loves the interconnectedness of Kickstarter. She can support her ongoing peeps, but also have the ability to discover stories and art that she likely would have never found through the direct market. And that is really like Kickstarter's superpower, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and to Clay's point earlier, Kickstarter's reach is not, direct market reach, but I would counter that it's growing. I mean, Terry freaking Moore just came to Kickstarter, okay, and he's having a pretty awesome campaign, with his, I believe it's a sketchbook, right? Am I remembering that right? But he's also bringing his fan base to Kickstarter, and now they are in that ecosystem. And hey, maybe they'll see Blazing Blade of Frankenstein and go, awesome, I'm going to back that. Or I see Sunmaker, or I see Rancidville, and that's really powerful for us as indie creators. I mean, I know we've chatted a lot about Brandon Sanderson, in our group. Kickstarter actually did the math, and he brought in how many thousands? Do you remember? He brought in so many thousand new backers, and then they followed those backers, and those backers backed other projects.
Yeah.
So it's when we get big name creators coming to the platform, it's great for all of us. I mean, it's a wonderful thing. So that Kickstarter algorithm, it works.
Once you're in that algorithm,
mm-hmm.
It is very much like the grocery store or the 7-Eleven and finding the comics rack. What was great about that stuff back in the day when you could find comics there is that you were going there anyway, right?
Yep.
You were a kid. You had to go with your mom to the grocery store,
yep.
or your dad at the 7-Eleven, or whatever, and you'd see the comic rack. I discovered comics at a pharmacy, that I was hanging out
Me
in,
too.
right?
Yep.
And they had a comics rack. But the Kickstarter algorithm, what they do is when you buy a book, what do they do after you check out? They immediately recommend more books, right? And it's like 3 across, or 4, or however many they fit in there. But it's like they're recommending you new projects, and it is sort of like that comic rack right next to the checkout.
Yep.
That impulse buy, you're already buying, you've already got your wallet out.
That's good, yeah.
What about this? And so that's what's so beautiful about that Kickstarter algorithm. I just wish we could get more people there using it, but if people like Terry Moore and Brandon Sanderson and all these people come in, all the better.
Well, and it's not just when I check out on Kickstarter, it's, oh, Clay, you just put out an update for Blazing Blade of Frankenstein. Down at the bottom, maybe you would like
exactly
these campaigns as well. So they're always, they do a really good job of marketing for us to a certain extent. Granted, I think Ryan and I were talking about Kickstarter Backer Kit just a little while ago, and that's I feel like Kickstarter is making strides to improve. They're already great, but they're still trying to make strides to improve. One of the things that I was annoyed with is, hey, I want to reach all my backers, but then I have to go touch every campaign that I've done. And then, hey, Ryan, you've backed every campaign. You just got 7 messages from me. I just annoyed the heck out of you. No, that's with Backer Kit.
I like how Will thinks I read my surveys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Ryan doesn't read any of that stuff.
Nah,
you didn't bother him at all.
Yeah.
No.
But with Backer Kit launch, we're able to target all of those people with one message. So that's a really useful tool that I think a lot of us use at this point, because it is so useful, and we're not going back and annoying every campaign.
And it eliminates the people that have already backed. That's the best part of it. So they're not getting another email. You've already backed. You've been excluded from the next round of emails that Backer Kit launch will send out. That's the other great part of it, because that's something that kind of annoyed me too. You know, I'm backing a project, but then I get the email that, hey, you back
Why
my
don't you back
project.
my project?
Like, yeah, it's like, I'm already backing your project. Yeah, exactly.
Don't you follow everything I do? Don't you know?
Yeah,
I
don't
backed
you know? Do you know who I am?
There you go.
Come on. But you know, Will, to your point about Kickstarter serving up those projects at the end of a project update, like that really is like, I've started looking at my Kickstarter dashboard and realizing like, oh, where are the backers actually coming from? They're actually coming from Kickstarter.
Yep.
You know, like mailing list, yes. Backer kit launch, sure. But it's Kickstarter is driving so much traffic to your page. They're doing all the work for you. And sometimes as creators, like, I feel like we kind of do maybe more than is necessary to try to call attention to our campaigns when Kickstarter is really doing all the work. So the most important thing I think a creator can do is have a killer project image that draws people in, because that's what's going to get served up. So that's why, like, when I put up my page and I was like, oh, that play button is like right on the face. And I know that was like a thing that people were so panicked about. Yeah, people were so worried about that for so often. But it's like the project image has to get people to the page. That's the job. Once they're on the page, you got to grab them with other stuff. But that main image serves a totally different purpose. So I've kind of stopped worrying about that play button. And more just about what is going to get somebody to click this thing, because they will serve it up time and time and time again. Yep,
absolutely. Joey's saying, so what do we do? How do we, do we get on the phones with local comic shops? How do we reach them? And what do you guys think? I don't know that I have a plan. I mean, I've tried some outreach. I've sent emails and say, here's the book, read it. Here's the digital copy, read it. But when if all of us creators do that to all the comic shops, they can't read all the books. There's got to be a better way. And there are. I really feel like the percentage of indie-friendly comic shops is relatively small. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But, maybe 10%.
It seems like they actually know you as, like, if you're one of the people that goes to the shop, they're more likely like, hey, this guy's local.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, outside of being local, they're not too interested.
Yeah.
And then it's at the same time, like, not everybody that goes into the shops is really going there for, like, whatever. Some of them are just going there for their next Batman, their next X-Men.
Exactly.
Yeah. Even at the cons, like, sometimes it's really hard to get people to come over. They're literally just there for more Batman.
Yeah. And then Jeff, let's see. Jeff says that Crowdfunder is really awesome at improving its features, but it's really hard to compete with that built-in audience of Kickstarter. And that audience, and again, Shawnee agrees with you, Ryan. Shawnee, you're making me look. Is anything I'm saying making a difference here? Anyway, whatever.
Shawnee's doing a bunch of free stuff in her packages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Free unsolicited advice. Your face should be everywhere during the life of the campaign. If I turn on my device, I should see Will Allred on New Power live stream. If that happens, I am so sorry, people. Okay. And Jeff says, I can't get my local comic shop that I've been a loyal customer to carry my book, so I don't have hope in pursuing that. Too much resistance.
Just put your book on the shelf.
Yeah.
Put them right next to Ninja Turtles and then just walk out.
I think first off, okay, let me back this up. This is going to take a minute, so stay with me. There may be a point here, but I may lose it because I'm old and senile. But if you've ever read Planetary by Warren Ellis, one of the core themes of it is that superheroes killed all of the other genres, okay? And they were the only ones left. I prefer the Kurt Busiek uh, interpretation is that superhero fans were the only ones that cared enough to save their genre. And thus we had the birth of the direct market, right? I think that the direct market was a lifeboat for comics, coming out of the 70s and into the 80s and some of the 90s a little bit. But I think that the direct market is probably going to have to fundamentally change. And I don't know in what way. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball and I don't know how. Um, but I think it's going to have to evolve. And I think that evolution is probably going to mean that we've lost a lot of shops over the years. There used to be, 10,000 shops at the height of the 90s. We're down to around 2,000 in the country now. I'm guessing. I don't have actual numbers. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But there's there's tremendously fewer shops, comic shops now than there have been in the past. And I feel like the direct market, instead of comics, the industry using the direct market as a lifeboat and then building out from it, it kind of went all in on the direct market. And that direct market, we're seeing great sales. I mean, if you look at what's the Beat, Heidi McDonald's, it's a great newsletter, a daily newsletter that talks to you about how graphic novel sales are increasing. But I just feel like the direct market is coming to an inflection point where things are going to have to change pretty radically. And I don't know how they're going to change. I hope it's for the better, but I don't know. I mean, does that seem reasonable to you guys? I mean, there's a point there. See, I made an actual point, maybe. I don't know.
I read something recently, Will, that said that it was Playboy that killed the newsstand.
Oh, okay.
That basically, so the newsstand was dying anyway. Like whether or not if the direct market hadn't come along, the industry would be dead.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea behind this article, and I wish I could remember where I read it, who said it, but it was basically that like people that ran newsstands when Playboy came out realized, wait a minute, I could rack more stuff like this that sells at a higher price to people who actually have money.
Mm-hmm.
Or I could keep, racking this stuff that sells for less than $1. I make no profit on it. And, it's like a kid that comes in and, he buys a couple of things and he spends a few bucks. And that basically they were like, nope. We're gonna rack the higher price magazines. Now, the other magazines like Time and Newsweek all raised their prices to be more attractive, like a
comics,
but comics didn't.
Yeah,
because they were always trying to sell to kids. So I think the industry would have been dead if they hadn't come up with a direct market.
Yep.
So it definitely saved it and gave it a lot more time. But as to like what it needs to evolve to, I don't know. Everybody seems to think it's digital, but it's not.
Yeah.
Digital sales aren't there.
Comixology. Yeah, look at Comixology.
Yep.
That was supposed to be this great thing. And for a while it was really good, but then it wasn't.
But I don't know that it was ever going to take over. I mean, if you even look at what's happening in streaming with other entertainment, streaming brings in no revenue. And now all these people that have gone all in on streaming, they're panicking now because they've put all this money into something that doesn't bring them any money. Like I was watching, has anybody seen The Glass Onion on Netflix?
Yep.
So there's a whole that whole thing, John, about disruptors, and
Right.
nobody wants to actually kill the thing. Like, people like to disrupt, but they don't really want to kill the thing. And I thought it was so ironic that this movie was on Netflix, which was a disruptor, which did kill the film and television business.
Right.
And that everybody involved in that movie, like Ryan Johnson is going to get paid, and Daniel Craig got a big payday, and all those people are going to get paid. But you know who's not going to make money? Netflix.
Yeah.
Netflix is losing money on that movie, whereas Knives Out, which was the first one, was in theaters
Yep.
and making a ton of money. And that was an old-fashioned movie that had legs. It didn't just open for a weekend and disappear. It grew over time and kept playing and kept playing and kept, like, it opened in like November. I saw it on my birthday, which is late January, and it was still in the theaters in Northwest Arkansas. That doesn't happen, that a movie's in theaters for that long, and it only died because of the pandemic. And anyway, I guess my point is, I think a lot of people started thinking that, like, digital comics was going to be the next thing, the same way people started thinking streaming was. And what we're learning, especially with Kickstarter, is that people like physical products.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just got to figure out a way to get the physical products where people are, and at a price point people want to pay. And
a price point that lets us continue making it, because art is expensive and it's time consuming. Freaking artists, right? No, I'm kidding. The art is the hardest part. I mean, it is the most physically demanding. So we have to be able to pay our artists a livable wage, and that means the price. We can't compete on volume with a Marvel or a DC. So, I mean, our books are what books should probably really cost, $15, $20, $25, because that's what it takes to actually make them. And that's, I bought comics when they were 30 cents, and I learned early what inflation does, because they jumped up to 40 cents. So instead of getting 4, I could only get 3. And I was pissed as a 7 or 8 or 10-year-old. I can't remember. I'm old, but I'm not that old. Okay. Here's a comment from Joey. A Kickstarter con. I don't know. That might be able to work, right? You're right. I don't know. I know that Kickstarter is a game changer. It has been a game changer for me, and I feel like it's been a game changer for you guys and lots of other indie creators out there that are able to really tell the stories that they want to tell and not, max out their credit cards to have to do it, right? This mythical break-even point, I feel like it's close. I haven't lost too much money yet, which is great. And, my wife is not complaining about it yet. So I haven't lost too much money. So that's good. But I've got soon, maybe within a week, I'll have 4 issues printed of a series that, I've been able to work with great artists on, Ryan and John and Pablo and Alice, and then with Brant and James, being the editor. It's not only are we making something that, we're proud of, but we have the experience of working with all these other creative people, which is just awesome.
What I really like what you guys do is how you're able to finish one Kickstarter and then you have your promotional material in it for your next one. So it's like, as you're fulfilling, it's like, hey, you just got this book. Don't forget, in like 2 weeks, the next one's coming out. That's always been really impressive. I think that you guys have been able to maintain that throughout, like, since you've started, because I've been pretty much following what you guys have been doing since the beginning, and like the results that it's had, because every time you guys launch, it's bigger, it's better, and Like and the quality and consistency is still there. So it's super awesome. I wish I could do that. Sunmaker 2 launched in 2017.
The benefit of doing that, right, is that like as you're launching a campaign, then you can also go into those other campaigns, and you're not just saying back my new Kickstarter, you're also being able to say like, hey, your books just came in from the printer, I'm going to be shipping them off to you soon, and by the way,
Here's
I have
a
a
new
new
one.
campaign. Right,
Mhm.
like you have something to update the other campaigns on, and I think that helps because then they're still sort of like active campaigns. People are still involved.
Right.
Yeah.
But like Ryan, to your point, like you can only do what you can do. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
you can only work at the pace you can work at. So Will should apologize to John.
I
For
did.
slowing him down. I don't mean to pick at the scab, for poaching you, but but you can only work at the speed you can. Work
I asked John for permission first. Just let's
Yeah.
John, listen.
Yeah, no, we talked about it. It was all good. It's all good.
John told me if I didn't do it, he was going to beat me. So I was like, I'm going to do this
with a chain. I was going to beat you with a chain.
I'm seriously envious of, I mean, my goal for this past year was to launch 3, potentially 4 Kickstarters. I did 1, right? Which is disappointing, but it's what I could do. But I looked at Kat and Phil, her doing like 1 every other month. And I'm like, that's just amazing. And then I see, that they buy Gemini mailers in pallets or ship container size because they're fulfilling so much. I'm like, okay, maybe there's a downside to launching every other month too. Is that? But I have a tremendous amount of respect for creators that are able to do 4, 5, 6 Kickstarters a year, because that's just insane in my opinion, because it's so time consuming
and stressful
but the campaign itself is stressful, but then the printing and then everything else that goes along. It's one thing to be kind of the project manager for a comic. We got the script, we've got it edited, we've got the colors, we got the letters, we're done. Well, no, that's just the start for a Kickstarter, because then you have to project manage all the Kickstarter stuff. You have to project manage the printing. You have to project manage the fulfillment. I mean, it's a giant project, and don't get me wrong, I love doing it because I'm getting my books out into the world, and it's great. But
the feeling when they show up, man.
Yeah, it's just like this came out of my brain. It's I love that feeling.
Assuming they're printed correctly.
Yes, but that goes to the other thing that we were talking about, and Clay mentioned it on why publishers are failing, and it's the profitability of the book. And as you just said, I mean, if we in a perfect world, we would have a project manager. You're a writer, so you would have a project manager who's managing that portion of the project. You'd have, so they're managing all of the creative pieces, but instead you're the project manager, and you're the writer, and you're the Kickstarter designer, and you're wearing all the hats. And so that's why it's a little bit more difficult to run multiple Kickstarters throughout the year, on top of having a day job and having a family and other responsibilities that you have to manage, and if we were able to have those other people, not just paying for an artist or the letterer, but then the book would be even more expensive.
Exactly.
Because you would have to cover the cost of that.
See, the timing of the creative, the campaign, the printing, and the fulfillment process varies greatly depending on the number of people involved. campaign with a team of several are obviously going to do things differently than a campaign with a team of one. Yep, Shawnee is
Exactly.
absolutely
Yep.
right. Yep. Mhm.
Yep. Yeah.
When we're
So,
making
you know, so
Polito
I-
numbers, we can all hire that team. But
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
And
yes.
it's a little different too, because some of them actually try to raise money to pay the creative team, and others don't. So everybody
Yes,
does
yeah.
it a little different.
Right, and that's why you see the fluctuation in pricing on a Kickstarter, where you'll have a 32-page comic that's being sold for $15 versus a 32-page or a 27-page comic that's selling for $25. You know, because wherever the prices are being baked into or eaten, you know, the first two Kickstarters that I ran for Rancidville, I ate a lot of the costs for that. I was writer and artist, you know, but you know, I just wanted the book printed. If I could pay for the printing of the book, that was what was most important. And you know, when I pay the colorist, that comes out of my pocket, and I hope to overfund so that money goes back into my pocket. Really, my wife hopes that I overfund so that money goes back. But you know, but then I ran an anthology, which like killed it, you know, and actually brought it into, you know, the black again. But it's just one of those things. It's you know, you're a one-man show, and so it's very difficult to do that, you know. And I feel I'm the same way. I'd love to run multiple Kickstarters throughout the year. I'd love to be able to launch Worst of Mayhem tomorrow, right? But you know, that's not possible. Let alone because I haven't fulfilled the Kickstarter yet. But anyway, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
I ran 5 in 2021.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
It was it nearly killed me.
Yeah.
I was so, and there were other things going on at the time too, but it was just so draining to me. I ended the year just completely wasted, and it took me months to get back on my feet again.
Right.
You know, I pulled in a lot of I raised a lot of money, and that was nice. But you know, there's still one of those projects I'm still trying to fulfill. You know,
Yeah.
It's
Printing.
insane.
Printing.
Yes.
Yeah, and that it's the mental portion of this is something that I think is overlooked sometimes. I mean, you know, the stress of running a campaign, the stress of creating the project is one thing. You know, you're creating something and you're pouring yourself into it. And then you have something that you're ready to share with the world and you think it's great. And then you run the campaign, and then that's a stressful, you know, 21 to 31 day event where you're like, is it going to, you know, you have these moments that they're within seconds of each other. You're like, you're anxious and happy and elated and sad and frustrated. And, you know, it's like crazy.
That's why John made a convention banner like he did.
Yeah, exactly. I made all my faces. Yeah, exactly. That's why I don't have any hair. You know, and so to do 5, Clay, that's just insane. You gotta, you know, I'm drained after 1. You know.
Yeah.
But I'm also old.
Got a shout out for Joey. A little selfish self promo for him. We can always hire him, and you will not hemorrhage money. He is great at promotions. Yeah, got a shout out for the Geek Collective and Joey there. Jeff says
cool.
that his campaigns have all been profitable because he does everything himself. You unicorns, do everything. And Shawnee says, yeah, printing has become something of a 4-letter word lately.
Amen.
But not wrong.
Costs for the Sunmaker book have literally doubled since the last time I ran my book. So like my cost per unit, because I didn't want to go overseas. I wanted to keep it with Printlore, and I still wanted to do it in Canada because the overseas cost is literally only like 20 cents cheaper. So I'm like, it's like $4.85 per book. So and I sell them at cons for $5. So I'm like in that really it's like the Kickstarter, if it succeeds in funds, after the Kickstarter, I will still be making a profit when I'm selling books at cons or later on. But for the Kickstarter, it's like people are literally basically buying the book at cost, and I think after the shipping, I usually do about $2 per book. So
Well, and shipping's another four-letter word too. I mean,
Yeah.
shipping rates have gone up. I know that.
I do a lot of fulfillment for like overseas creators. I've been doing some stuff for Rennie and Andy Perry and some other guys and stuff. So like I do a lot of their fulfillment for the US shipping, because like shipping from Australia or shipping out of the UK eats up a lot of their money, and they're like super grateful that we're able to offer that as a thing. So I've still, even though I haven't been running Kickstarters, I've still been fulfilling Kickstarters. So I still been seeing like what it's going up, and it's just like crazy. Like I would give Andy like a quote in like November, and then I'd get the stuff in, and like everything's gone up by like, it's like 20-30 cents a package, but you do 30 cents a package for 150 books, it ends up becoming a significant amount of money.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't remember who found it. I'm sure it was someone in the group, but Pirate Ship, the international, was it Charlie that was telling us about that? Because when I send international, when I use Pirate Ship, it's about half, because I send to a clearinghouse here in, I think it's in Chicago, and then they load up a big bunch of stuff and ship it all over. I get it delivered for like half the price, and it's awesome. I mean, that has literally saved me a ton of money on international shipping, just doing that. And then I know I do media mail, which according to the rules, should be fine because it's a book, right? I know some post offices don't necessarily like that, but I've had zero trouble, knocking on wood there, zero trouble with media mail and the packages. Of course, I've got a big bunch of Gemini mailers back over here, but with the Gemini mailers, everything's protected, so that, so far I've not had any trouble with packages, and I hope I just didn't jinx myself. But I am always amazed that I'll get just a manila envelope that the creator has just thrown their book in, not bagged and boarded it. There's no protection for it, and they've just sent it out. And I'm like, that's a little piece of your soul. You're not going to protect that, right? All the blood, all the sweat, all the tears, the love, the everything that you put into that.
You don't know when the package is going to get delivered. Like I've had Kickstarters come and it's like a monsoon outside, and I get the package and I'm like, thank God this guy put a bag and board, because the cardboard is like completely soaked through, but because they put it in a bag on the inside, like my comic was.
That's the craziest thing, because you would think that a lot of comic creators are comic fans, and most comic creators are collectors at heart. And you would think that you would be treating it the same way that you would want your collection to be treated. I mean, but you're right. I have big name indie creators send stuff out that is just horrible packaging. And it's insane. Media mail is awesome, but it's actually doubled in the last 5 years.
Yep.
So I mean, it's the cheapest way. As long as you have zero advertising in your book, it's the best way to ship. But even that isn't as inexpensive as it once was. So
they've gone to our Kickstarter thing. They know that it's us.
Exactly. It's like, we're gonna crush them.
Thanks, Shawnee. I appreciate that. And then Joey's like, Gemini is the way to go every time. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
And then you can just keep the Gemini mailers from other Kickstarters and reuse them.
exactly. I got a
exactly.
snack right over there. So, and
This is.
I'm
Oh,
sorry, I was actually
go ahead.
really surprised. I actually sent out a survey to my newsletter readers and was like, hey, I've got a bunch of Gemini mailers that I get from other campaigns because I back a lot of stuff. You know, do you care if I reuse those? Because they're perfectly fine. And one, we're reusing, which is I'm a sustainability geek at heart too. So we're reusing, we're recycling these things. I'm going to make sure that your book gets there in as perfect condition as I can make it. Does it matter? And resoundingly from my readers was like, I don't care what you package it in as long as it gets here good. I'm like, rock on. So
Yeah.
if I can figure it out, I would like to because you guys always back my stuff. I'd like that if you send me a package out that I'd put a little note on it so I could send it back to you in the same package you sent it to me. But I'm not that organized, so.
Looney Tunes cartoons where like the suitcase goes around the world and it comes back with like
Yeah.
on it and like, see how many creators we can get this one out to.
Yeah,
That'd
and
be cool.
it's fun too because a lot of creators will put stickers or something on there. So I feel like, hey, I'm also advertising for a book that I backed to one of my backers.
I
When
feel those
they get my book. I keep some of the stickers. I try to get all of the labeling stuff off, and but that's just me. So I interrupted Clay. I apologize.
No, I think I was trying to talk over you. I'm sorry.
Uh,
This is my first campaign that I've used the lower shipping rates from Pirate Ship. And so this is the first campaign where I've advertised that, where I've had those numbers on there. And it is strange because you're used to getting all this extra money for international shipping, and so then to
yeah.
see the numbers be different because you're not having to charge so much money for shipping.
Right.
It is sort of interesting, but it'll it'll
Mhm.
level out at some point.
Well, I probably do it wrong. Um, I don't have a tremendous amount of international backers. I have enough that I have to pay attention to it, but I'm not shipping 1,000 packages to the rest of the world. Um, I just kind of go with a flat rate, and mostly it covers most of the shipping most of the time. But every time I've sent to like Tokyo, that's like 35, $40, even with pirate ship. And I'm like, I'm just eating that. That's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
shipping is hard, but international shipping is like, okay, shipping is like algebra. International shipping is like calculus. I'm like, okay, I'm out. All right. I'm just gonna make it simple. It's probably gonna cost me money, but I'm gonna try to make it simple and then move on. But it's for the next campaign, for this campaign, I've still got I'm going to be fulfilling, a bunch of packages when my correctly printed books come within about a week. Okay. um, and for me, one of the greatest things that I discovered was the integration that BackerKit has with ShipStation. So I can be in BackerKit and I can say, here's my segment that I've created. These are all the same packages. I just got to get the letters with the stamps and all the everything else. Push that over, print the labels, do all the stuff, come back to BackerKit and say update, and it's like, boom, yep, you shipped all those. They're now fulfilled. I'm like, that's awesome. That's genius. So I feel like as much as I do love BackerKit and as much as I love Kickstarter, BackerKit does some really, really important things for me as a creator when it comes to promoting when it comes to fulfillment, which is why I use it. Why several of us use it, at this point.
Do you guys think that one day BackerKit and Kickstarter are going to just merge?
Why haven't they bought them already? Okay.
I wonder that all the time because so many people use it, and right? That was Crowdfunding. The one that BackerKit made, the Kickstarter type platform.
Oh, that's just BackerKit. It's just BackerKit.
But didn't they do their own crowdfunding thing and
it was just BackerKit.
Yeah, it's still just BackerKit.
Crowdfunder's separate. Zoop is separate. What am I forgetting? Crowdfunder, Zoop, BackerKit, Kickstarter. There's Indiegogo out there. I'm trying to think. Isn't there a?
Yeah.
Maybe there's not another one. I can't remember. But
I thought BackerKit and Kickstarter were gonna do some type of merging when they were kind of promoting their little. They had little Zoom meetings where they were promoting the different features and how it would work together, but then it just never materialized.
Wasn't there a BackerKit competitor that they bought themselves?
CrowdOx.
Yeah, CrowdOx. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I could really see, integrating that functionality that BackerKit has, and BackerKit is not necessarily the most user-friendly platform in the world. Creating those surveys, adding the SKU, the SKUs, and all that stuff is kind of a pain, and I know it's turned off a few creators.
I actually haven't tried it yet, just because I haven't felt like my campaigns have been big enough yet. Until I got to like the collected version, because to me that made a little bit more sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
I tried it once. I tried it once, and I ran screaming.
I used it for the anthology, and it's the features are robust, but it's not intuitive. It's similar to trying to work with Amazon or Google. A bunch of engineers created something that's great, but engineers know how to use it and no one else does. But I think it's important. I'm hoping that they really don't merge. I think it's important that we have BackerKit and Crowdfunder and Indiegogo and Kickstarter. And I think that they all should be looking at each other and making adjustments to make it better. Like, hey, you're doing something over there that's actually kind of good. Like all the shipping functionality in BackerKit is amazing. The fact that Crowdfunder can take PayPal, amazing. Right? Those things they should be integrating and staying competitive with each other and making, it makes the world of crowdfunding bigger and better because you have more options. I think that going back to the direct market, that's one of the things that killed the direct market was you could only get into a comic shop using diamond distributors. Right. So when you limit the availability of someone doing something and you make it a one place, you eliminate competition and you go stagnant. And that's what happened. That's what happened. And then they can't adjust when something like COVID or anything else.
Well, I think too that a Zoop, which is such an unfortunate name. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's like Drip. You remember Drip? They tried to do, it's like when Patreon did Drip, it's like, what is that?
But, I feel like Zoop is going to be kind of its own thing for a while. BackerKit will be kind of its own thing from a crowdfunding thing for a while. and the same for and Indiegogo is its own thing. But I feel like they're going to need time to kind of grow, and I feel like there's going to be some overlap, but they're going to have kind of distinct audiences at those places, right? That may or may not overlap with Kickstarter. But it took Kickstarter 10 years to get to how old is Kickstarter right now? Is it 2007?
Right?
So it's like 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
It took it a long time to kind of get over the bump where it's seeing, the kind of growth that, we've seen for the last several years in the platform. If those other platforms will stick with it, I think they can probably grow, some pretty, decent sized audiences so that we as indie creators can, pick and choose. Well, I think this book would do better on Zoop, or I think this book would do better in BackerKit, or this thing, I want to do this on Kickstarter because I feel like it's the best fit for it. And the more options we have as creators, that's better for us,
right?
And better for our audiences too, because I have one backer in particular who's like, Kickstarter just doesn't work for me. I can't get the credit card thing to work. It's just, here's PayPal. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll take that and I'll make sure you're in all the stuff, right? So it's, Kickstarter not being able to take PayPal, if they can do that, that would be great. That would be something, like you said, that Zoop can do, but I think it's going to be, creators are going to creators that maybe haven't had success on Kickstarter for whatever reason, they just haven't found their audience. I think they're going to be looking to Zoop or BackerKit, or these other crowdfunder, and we'll start building audiences there. And I hope that they do. I really do. It's just that I know where, Kickstarter is the place for me right now. I know that, right? I feel like I've had some success on the platform, and I hope that I can continue that success. And I don't feel like, I think somebody with a big enough name, it doesn't really matter where they go. Terry Moore could have gone to Crowdfunder. Terry Moore could have gone to Zoop and would have brought a huge influx of, backers to his project. But I don't think most creators are in that boat, and where I've started is Kickstarter, and that's where I'm going to stay unless there's some other reason for me not to be there.
And it's what you were saying earlier about the discoverability, just that alone makes it worth it. Like if the other platforms don't have that as something that you increase your funding, it makes it a more difficult option.
Yep, right. Absolutely. Yep. I mean, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for creators that have, tried out Zoop or tried out BackerKit or tried out Crowdfunder. More power to them and a tremendous amount of respect, but it's not something that I want to try at this point. I've almost kind of got this thing sort of figured out where I kind of do it okay. I'm not gonna, try to rock the boat at this point.
From like a backer perspective, like I like the experience on Kickstarter. I do not like Indiegogos. Like I've backed a few Indiegogos for people that, couldn't run Kickstarters because they're in countries that don't support it.
Yep.
And just the whole experience, like the way you pick your rewards, I kind of don't like that they charge you right away and you don't really know if they're going to actually be making the book. And it's like a whole other platform that you have to go on and check messages. Like I don't want to be going to like 7 different crowdfunding things to see like what the updates are. Like these guys know I could barely do my surveys just and like I really struggle when like I don't like how BackerKit does not send you a push notification into Kickstarter, like that. Because I filter all my Kickstarter emails to a separate email account because I literally back that many campaigns. So I don't send them a regular email, which is a lot of my surveys and stuff is because when they do like the backer kit, like I only check that like once a month maybe, and I gotta go back through and like there's a couple creators that I know that actually will send a message to all backers like, hey, just letting you know that I have sent out a backer kit survey. And like those ones I end up getting, and I wish they would have the push notifications from the other things. I just can't imagine like doing more than like I with just Kickstarter and backer kit. Like I'm like, so like
You know, that's actually a really, I hadn't considered that because I usually, when I do updates, I'll say, hey, I've sent the backer kit surveys out. But sending a separate message is a really good idea. And I think probably a really good practice that I'm actually going to take a note and write down to
remember
maybe do here.
it might have been Simon Burks on one of his Kickstarter campaigns, or it might have been Andrew Pauly. I don't remember who it was, but it was one of those guys. And I was like, man, that's really smart because I'm actually going to go over there and fill out my survey now.
Right.
That is a really good idea. Like I also I was chatting with MK Palmer the other day, and she said, "Hey, I've got a good idea that she had found or came up with or saw," and she said, "You know, we should put a QR code in our books to sign up for our mailing lists." And I went, "Duh, that is awesome! Why didn't I think of that, right? Here, look, sign up for the mailing. You know, it would take this much of, you know, the inside back cover or your last page or your back cover or something, you know, and boom, they could sign up for your mailing list right there." I went, why was I not doing this? Why didn't anybody tell me that I could do this? Because I'm the one that makes the book, and I just didn't think of it. So yeah, but thought that was a brilliant idea. So thanks, MK. Yeah, so monopolies suck. You're right, Jeff. They are the worst. Looking at you, Diamond. Yep, CGC, you're right, Shawnee. And Shawnee says she's also backed on other platforms, and for her, Kickstarter is her happy place. So I'm glad we're in your happy place there. Wow, we've kind of been going all over the road. Why don't we, it is now midnight, why don't we do some...
Midnight, it's 1 o'clock.
It's 1 o'clock.
Maybe
I don't know.
East Coast land.
Yeah, but in Central Time, as God intended.
He's like,
why don't we do the 30-second pitches, and then we're going to have a special 10-minute video segment from our on assignment Kevin Joseph, which is this viral video that he sent me. And we'll watch that, and then if you guys want to hang around or take a break while we're doing that, after the video, I'll go back through the other projects, you know, and that's the point where everything goes completely and totally off the rails. So if you want to hang around for that, great. If you don't, I completely understand.
I am leaving the second Kevin Joseph appears on the screen. I will not stay a moment longer. I just want to be very clear. Yeah.
I don't blame you at all. All right.
Kevin's
so
just watching just to see if you're actually going to play it.
Yeah.
I know. Yes. Let's go. Let's start with John this time. Give us the 30-second pitch for Rancid-ville, sir.
30-second pitch. What are you? Like I said, Rancid-ville is a teen-centric comic. It's 3 teens in a decrepit town investigating a greedy town council to solve a murder mystery. It's really, really good.
Awesome. Clay, hit us with Blazing Blade of Frankenstein, which also has a crossover print with Nightwolf, I believe.
With Nightwolf and with Evie and the Helsings, Steve Bryant.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
A couple of good crossover prints. Yeah, Blazing Blade of Frankenstein is sword and sorcery meets gothic horror as Frankenstein battles monsters for the fate of a savage land.
Excellent. All right, Ryan, hit us with Sunmaker.
Sunmaker is a post-apocalyptic fantasy about a man who must decide if preserving his legacy is worth becoming a monster.
Nice. All right, gentlemen. Well, I have downloaded this video. I'm going to see if I can figure out how to play it. I don't know if I can or not. We're going to find out. So stay tuned or not. It's up to you. So here we go. And Shawnee says she loves chatting with us. To have an awesome evening. Thanks, Shawnee. You too.
Yep.
I got you, Shawnee.
Bye.
Here we go. Let's see if I can figure out how to play this video. All right, here it is. Let's see if I can present it.
I've got my running shoes on.
All right,
Yeah.
get ready to run. Share a video. Share a video file. Is that going to work?
He's going to go on Google on his other screen and check.
Yeah, and figure out how to do this.
Hey,
There it
I
is.
hope that I am breaking into your regularly scheduled program with Will, Clay, Ryan, and John, my good buddies. I miss you. I love you. I'm sorry that I'm not there to talk to you guys. I know all about your campaigns. I'm backing them all. Super excited. But as you guys probably know, I got the little C, which is better than the big C, about 3 weeks ago, and I've been trying to get back to a point where I can talk for more than 10 minutes, and I don't think I'm there yet, but I do have 10 minutes, and I ran into Corey online, and Corey has this amazingly cool idea where he is trying to get 1,000 readers for his comic book, Another Day at the Office. Corey, first of all, please introduce yourself. I know you're from Houston, and I read that you've worked with Space Cadets, Jen King. Space Cadets Comics is probably one of the best comic shops in the entire country. So am I right in hearing that you guys have worked with them in the past?
Yeah, so I grew up right here in Spring, and so I met Jen a long time. I've known Jen probably about 10 years. And when the very first issue of this came out, it was a one-shot standalone, and they actually ordered 100 copies of a variant of it for the Comic Book Shopping Network, the CBSN.
Mm-hmm.
And so the CBSN had just started, so my comic book is actually the very first variant for CBSN. So I get to be that footnote in history forever. I mean, it's a nice little feather in the cap.
Do they have any copies of that left up for $999, or have they all sold out?
There are still a couple copies somewhere in the store. I'm willing to wager, because as great a salesman as she is, I don't have enough ego to think that they sold 100 copies of anything. So I'm willing to bet there's probably 4 or 5 or 6 copies somewhere floating around in the store. And she also ordered a few copies of the. So I did the standalone, and then I came back and I started this 3-issue miniseries.
Mm-hmm.
And I started it right before COVID hit. You mentioned the big C, little C.
Yeah.
I started it right before, and so the first issue came out without really much of an issue, and then the next 2 issues just got. I did a Kickstarter about 2 years ago for them. It funded, and then after like 7 months, the artist never finished anything, so then we kind of moved on to other stuff. So it took a long time to get these last 2 issues done, but they are now finished. We are going through the process of getting everything printed now, and we are excited because I'm on a quest. I want to stay in comic books and keep making comic books. The trouble that I've found is it's a very slow process to build a readership and a following.
Mm-hmm.
So I've decided I've got these 4 issues. They're already funded. People have already bought them. I can either try and hustle and sell 4 issues at a time for the rest of my life, or I can use this as an opportunity to give these away to people, to give people the option to pay whatever they want for a bundle of the digital copies, because I'm not out anything on that, right? Like, it's already been made. I'm not shipping anything. And so all I get in return is maybe a dime's worth of loyalty. And so when I make the next project, these people will at least come and look at it and then make a decision whether or not they're going to stick around or not. Right. And that's really all you can hope for. And with the 1,000 readers, so I also have a podcast. I've been doing podcasting and radio for about 7 years. And what I've really learned is the 1% rule. If you've got 1,000 listeners, maybe 10% are going to click a link, and then maybe 10% of that are going to buy it. So it's 1%. So if you've got 1,000 listeners, probably 10 people are going to buy a t-shirt from you. If you've got 30,000 listeners, well, maybe 30 people, maybe 300 people are going to buy whatever it is. So you got to, it's a numbers game. Right. And the more people you can get something in front of, the better off you are. So 1,000 readers is this imaginary number in my head that means maybe 100 people back the next Kickstarter.
Right. So if somebody is right here right now, and we're going to tell them a little bit more about Another Day at the Office, but if they go to the URL CORYDIG, is it DIG?
DLG. It's my initials.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So CORYDLG.gumroad.com/
I think that's an L. I'm not sure what that is.
/ADATO. If you see the video, it's on the video. I'm just, in case this is on the podcast, I want people to hear it. Or go to gumroad.com and type in Another Day at the Office. I bet you that is going to work a lot better. You can go in there, pay what you want. You can get these for free. You can throw $1 a PDF. You can go $2 a PDF, which is kind of thing, or you throw them $10 a book if you want to help out. Everybody gets to make this choice for themselves. So definitely, this is how you'll get the 1,000 readers. How are you going to try to get in front of 1,000 readers this weekend?
So I came up with an idea, and I don't know if it's original. When I had it, I thought, man, this is kind of clever because, all right, so we've all been complaining about Facebook and everybody else. They're changing their algorithms all the time. I'm in 50 different Facebook groups, and about 4 times a week I post in all of them. And half the time when I talk to people, they're like, yeah, I don't see it because if you post a link, the algorithm bumps you way down the page and blah, blah, blah. So I've been trying to come up with a way, how do you beat the algorithm? I feel like I'm in like an 80s Tron movie or War Games or something. So I said, what if I had a bunch of people all at once tweet out the same message, with their own words, but the same message. Go check out Corey's Gumroad project. It's pay what you want, and it's a comedy about a cop in a city full of superheroes. So I've kind of put the word out as big as I could and tried to enlist as many people as possible. There's about 7 of us who throughout the weekend are dropping scheduled tweets every couple of hours on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I'm calling it a blitz. And essentially we're all dropping tweets with the same message at the same time. And I'm just trying to get enough traction to where as the likes and the retweets start to happen, Twitter has no choice but to show me to more people because all of a sudden, the same image, the same link, the same text, the same username are being popped up over and over and over again. Now, I might screw up. Maybe
yeah. Even if we're all throttled down, you still are getting 20% of everybody throttled down, which is better than 100% of you.
Exactly. And that's kind of what I've been trying to just experiment with Twitter and all that and just try and find more and more ways to kind of penetrate. Because when I first initially was doing this, it's been about 2 weeks. The first couple of days, the response was massive. I got a very large number of clicks to the page, a good amount of clicks into it. And the click-through has been holding really well on Gumroad's side. Once people get to Gumroad, about 10% wind up downloading the book, which really is basically free, so that's a really good number.
Right.
It's getting people there that has sort of been the issue, so I'm hoping by kind of mass tweeting the link, that'll kind of override that. And so that's the hope.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to be joining you after we cut record. I'm going to ask you for the timing of that you want these to go out, and I'm going to jump on because it sounds like a cool experiment. So you said that this is kind of a day in the life of a cop in a city where everybody has superpowers. Is this all ages? Is this for adult readers? What's your audience you're looking for the book?
It's okay. So I don't have kids. So initially one of my buddies from high school, she was she saw it and she tweeted, she texted me, she's like, "This is so neat, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Yeah," and she has like a 6-year-old. I was like, "Yeah, get it for him. It's fun." So she did, and she texted me back. She's like, "There's a couple jokes in here that I don't really think are for kids," and I was like, "Okay, all right, my fault. I don't have kids. I don't know." So I've been told that it's about 13 and up is right where it should be.
Sounds good to me. PG-13
yeah,
sounds good. All right.
okay with that. But yeah, there were a couple. She was like, "I don't know if he understood it, but I didn't like that." I was okay. I got it.
Hey, if you pissed off mom, you probably wrote a good joke.
It's a boob joke, but it's in there, and so yeah, she was like, "Yeah, I don't think that was." I was like, "Okay, my fault." But so 13 and up, it's a comedy about the slice of life. There's a lot of humor you can find just in the day-to-day life. I laugh at things all the time that happen that are just ridiculous. I just spent like 30 minutes on a drive-through today, and it wound up being because the person who was ordering was signing because I guess they couldn't hear, and so they had to pull around to the window. But when you're in the back of the Burger King line, you have no idea why you're waiting 25 minutes for everything to happen. You're just losing your mind, and then when you pull up and you see them like giving this bag of ladies, this nice lady's getting a bag of food, and her kid's like, "Thank you," and you're like, "Oh, that's great. I'm the jerk. That's fun."
Yeah.
So
you were the butt today, but that's all right. We've all been that.
So there's humor in all kinds of things, and so a lot of it is just sort of at the expense of the main character, but also once you inject superheroes into it, there is sort of a level of like, come on, really? Like this guy can fly and does everything else, and then I don't even get to do my job today. Like that's the element kind of in all of this.
All right. Well, awesome. I'm going to say I appreciate you coming on, Corey. I'm going to send out my tweets today. We're doing this Friday afternoon, so Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If you're listening to this as part of Explain Yourself, check it out. Check out the Gumroad. Pay what you want. Get Corey's out here. We are of a like mind. I would rather have a reader than a dollar. I'd rather have a reader and a dollar, but I would rather have a reader than a dollar. So, hey, if things are tight, read it for free right now, and when you hit the lottery, pop back on Gumroad and throw them $100.
There you go. That sounds great. And if anything else, just even if you go for free on this one, check out the next one. That's really all this is about. Is just if you like this, give me one more shot next time.
That sounds good. Corey, I appreciate it. Hey, Will, if you're back, you probably use this as a potty break. That's what I would have done. If you are back, the show's back to you, my good buddy, my good co-pilot. Everyone, you have a great night, and I miss you, and I'm going to try to be back next week. Good night, everybody.
All right. That actually worked. I am shocked.
Seamless.
Seamless. Very cool. Very cool. Well, hey, thanks for hanging with me, dude.
Thanks for having me.
I hope that I have some books to send you pretty soon, because I need to send you some comp copies of certain issues when number 4 finally comes in. So we have reached the point of the show where everything goes off the rails, and I'm actually surprised that I thought that worked really well. I'm really surprised, but that was really cool. So awesome. So anybody that's still out there, I know yes, we are. It's getting really late. For you, it's not as late for me, but
I took vacation from work for today and for tomorrow.
Nice. Very nice. Well, let's go see what we still got in the old backer. There we go. Back to projects. That is right here. Let me drag that over. And we will take a look at what we still got going here. Although I don't think we have her scheduled to be on the show, we've got The Misadventures of Buddy and Friend, which is by friend of the show and totally Kevin Joseph, Matt Sorcier. Also does Sacrimony. This is a fun-looking book. Go check it out. I think she's going to be on the show promoting it soon. I hope. I'll have to check the schedule. Or Matta, if you're out there watching or listening, get in touch and we'll get you back on the show. You won't have to host this time because Kevin will be back, so it'll be okay.
She'll kick him.
Yeah. Let's see. We still have. Looks like Mixology Noir is still going. It's a noir book dealing with drinking, particular drinks. It's a really interesting project. This is book one called Sazerac and Vesper, which are two separate stories. I believe it's an 80-page book, 60-page, 50-page, something like that. It's got two long stories in it, and it's actually a flip book. So you can read the first story, flip the book over, and then read the other story, which I think is really cool and takes me back to the 90s. So check out Mixology Noir, book one. It's on live on Kickstarter now, and it is going until February 17th. The next book up is Control Z. It is a cyberpunk kind of thriller where you have, people start going missing. So you have, I think they're called Guardians or something, or trying to figure out that mystery of why the people are going missing in this, cyber landscape. It's got some really nice looking art and looks like a really good book. Go check it out. Then we have, this guy's when he's on the show, man. We have Pocus Hocus. Love those guys, actually. Just like to give them heck. Pocus Hocus Volume 2, Number 1 is on Kickstarter right now, and it is, there are catch-up tiers. It's a fun book. Lots of comedy.
When they did Grandma Chainsaws when you had them on the show. So
Yep.
I actually backed Grandma Chainsaw and I got like all the Pocus Hocus books. I still have to read them. But yeah, because Dave was on that book too.
Yep. He's on that. He's on all the books, isn't he?
Wallace covers, man. Those things are so cool.
Yeah, and Pocus Hocus runs until February 17th as well. Let's see, what else do we have here? We have our buddy Rob Multari, has the Nightwolf Voodoo Doll 12-inch plushie on Kickstarter right now until February 9th. It also has 6 connecting covers. So each issue of the series, the first 6 issues, Rob has created a new cover, and those all connect. So you have it's a 3x2 image, and they make up the covers of the 6 issues. It's pretty darn amazing. So you can get the plushie and you can get the covers. You can get just the plushie, just the covers. There are backup tiers, and you should be reading Nightwolf now.
I'm waiting for Rob to launch like a book that's just a collection of all his covers, because he has some like crazy amazing covers.
He does. Charlie, Pat Shand, those who are the people that I look to for cover artists. So go out there and get some of those awesome covers. And then finally, we have Evie and the Helsings. So Evie and the Helsings. Gotta stop for a second. Pocus Hocus, it's a good collective PR book. Yes, so we're giving it some PR, Joey. Anyway, back to Evie and the Helsings. We had Steve Bryant on the show 2 or 3 weeks back, and it was just me and him chatting about art for like 2.5 hours. I'm sure we bored the heck out of everybody, but it was a really fun show, and I really enjoyed it. Evie and the Helsings is a great looking book, and I think it's approaching it ends on February 9th, so it's approaching the end of its run on Kickstarter. So it is funded at this point, and it's doing really well. But if you haven't checked it out yet, go check out Evie and the Helsings. And that's about all I can find in the last books. A quick shout out to to Buddy Brant Fowler, who also letters and designs Crossover Division and does some cool Kickstarters, right, Ryan? Kickstarter design.
Yeah, I'd be lost without him, that's for sure.
Legendary Lands of Oz puzzle and diamond painting kit that funded tonight, I believe. Is that tonight? I think that was tonight. So congrats, Brant and Lisa. Great job. And it looks like, when did that fund?
There's a lot of really good projects going on right now.
Yeah. Big congrats to Thoughtscape Comics. Matt Mayor Lowry made it over the finish line. So Thoughtscape Comics 1 through 3 is funded earlier this week, I believe. And then the Rainbow LGBTQ enamel pins, Trans Ace and Gay, by our friends Kat and Phil. That funded, I think, on February 1st as well. And then just because I am so impressed with the work ethic. Frank Martin, his Grim Space Pinocchio and Sci-Fi Fairy Tale one-shot comic funded, but Frank is out there day in and day out. I think he does 6 Kickstarters a year, and I am just, mad respect, buddy. But keep up the good work. I always like to read what you're putting out.
To read the Grim Space script like a couple of years ago when he was still workshopping it over on Comics Experience.
Oh, cool! Very cool. Nice.
He does a lot of books.
He does a lot of books. Yeah, and like I said, mad respect. Did that end? When did that end? That ended on January 30th. So yeah, so there we go. And he's already got it out. I mean, I think, yeah, I got to read it. So as soon as the campaign was done, he already had the digital ready. Everybody got it. I've read it. Great. So yeah. So I think that's it for the books that have been on the projects that have been on the show. Oh, here we go. From our pal Joey, a Nightwolf board book is coming soon. So that is, you heard it here first. Sorry, but that sounds really cool. Very cool. Well, all right. This old man is an old man and is tired. So I think we're about to call it a night for the show. Thanks everyone for showing up. Thank you to Clay Adams and his Blazing Blade of Frankenstein project that's running right now. Big thank you to John Eddingfield II for hanging out too with us with his project Rancidville number 3. And last but certainly not least, thanks to the awesome Ryan Kroboth with his Sunmaker number 3 project and colorist on Crossover Division, starting with issue 3 and going on forever. So
Crossover Division better go on forever because it's a very good book.
Well, thank you. It's good because I've got great people working on it, and you're one of those people. And Brant and James.
Like you need a crossover with Blazing Blade of Frankenstein. I mean, that just sounds logical.
We may have. I don't know if I can do it though, because, well, first off, I don't know if Clay would want to, bring his audience down to my level, but I've actually got an idea for using Frankenstein within Crossover Division that I think would work really, really well, and I think it would be a really cool thing to do, but I don't know if it's gonna fit where it might fit. But crossing over with other books would be fun too. Kevin and I have written the Tart Crossover Division crossover. We've got the artist, and the artist will hopefully begin work on it soon. I'm trying to keep this as mysterious as possible, because when we announce it, people are going to go, awesome, because this artist is an awesome artist. But I think that's about it for the night. Thanks again, Ryan.
Yeah,
thanks again
for having me.
Thanks again, Joey, Jeff, Shawnee, always. thanks for showing up and hanging out with us tonight. I think we had, let's see, who else did we have in here?
Jeff.
Oh, Danny. Thanks, Danny, for showing up, and Jeff for showing up, and that Kevin guy. You know him. But yeah, thanks again, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the show. I think there was lots of great discussion around Kickstarter. Ryan and John and Clay are super sharp, and I always love to hear their opinions on the state of indie comics and how we do what we do. So yeah, thanks again, everyone, and have a good night. Hopefully, Kevin will be back next week, and we'll see you then. Thanks, everyone. Good night. Okay, I gotta figure out the right button to click now.